morning, guys, and welcome to beautiful Krakow, Poland. It is our very first time to ever be in Poland, and we are super excited to get to check out this amazing city and show you guys a little bit. We're here for the weekend, and we're going to try to pack in as much as we can in just a few short days that we're actually here.
So we got in kind of late last night and got to just walk around a little bit and got to eat some pierogi, a Polish dumplings that were amazing. We tried a bunch. But this morning we just grabbed some pastries to go real quick, and we are headed over to a free walking tour. We saw online that there's a ton of different free walking tours here in Krakow, but we chose the one that goes to the old town. So let's go.
So our tour started on one side where they have the city walls still standing. At one time, the entire city was surrounded by city walls and towers and the castle on the far end. And the side that we started on was the only part of the city walls that wasn't destroyed. They tore down all of them when it became like slums. I think it's in the 1800s. And they put around a city park around the entire city, which is a cool place to walk around and look at. But inside the city walls is the old town where we are touring today. And in it, well, and in it are churches, universities, really cool old buildings and architecture, including one of the universities here, which is known as like the Hogwarts of Krakow. Really neat old building, and Copernicus was one of the most famous students here. But our tour guide explained that Krakow was one of the capitals of Poland, but it now is more of like a cultural and like university hub with art and just different things like that. And so it's a really neat town in that aspect.
So in the city square, there is the town hall that really just now is remaining a big tall tower. And then there's also this big, almost like medieval shopping center right down the middle, kind of like a souk. And so I guess you can go in and get lots of souvenirs in there. There's also some big churches that are beautiful and just beautiful buildings all around. And then apparently underneath the city center, there's medieval torture chambers and dungeon and prison.
So we've been back to the main square, and right behind me is St. Mary's. It's this huge church with two large towers on the front of it, and one of them is much larger than the other one. And our tour guide was telling us that that was kind of like the watchtower for the city back in the old days. And up there are open windows at the top, and there's a bugler that stays up there. And in old days, he used to watch for the city for fires, for invaders, or different things, and he would play his bugle and warn the entire city that something was happening. And so that's how people would be alerted. Nowadays, once every hour, 24 hours a day, 365 days, the bugler, right after the bells chime, will come out and play his bugle song to four directions, the four corners of the earth, he says. And the ending of the song is kind of weird. It kind of like just randomly cuts off. And that story that our tour guide was telling us was that when the Mongols were actually invading the city, the bugler was playing his bugle the entire battle, and at the very end of the battle, an arrow shot up and actually struck the bugler in the throat, cutting him off. And so now, in memory of that story, each bugler plays a song, and then it just cuts off at the very end. But then at the end of his bugle song, he reaches out and he waves to everybody, and everybody down below waves back, and it's just kind of a cool little moment. So anyways, really cool sight. We're going to continue on with the tour.
So next we stopped at the Church of St. Francis, and this church was one of the most unique ones we've seen on the inside. You walk in and it's just the most colorful church I've ever seen. It seems like there's just different kinds of wallpaper all around it, on the ceilings, on the walls, everywhere, but it all works together really well, and it's beautiful. And some interesting and unique stained glass that was gorgeous as well. So we really enjoyed that. And then we walked outside, and there's all around Krakow, there are images of Pope John Paul II, because he studied here at the university and is from Krakow. And so he, I guess, is really influential and just very well loved Pope here in Krakow because he's from here, but also he helped to start the fall of the Communist Party here. So people really love that about him here as well. And just sounds like he was just a wonderful man that everyone just is really proud that he's from here.
last stop of our tour was at the far side of the old town, and it was the old castle. It's up on this huge hill overlooking the city, and talk about incredible. It was way cooler than I expected. Once we went up and inside, you just got incredible views of the city around it, but also of the castle, and there's also a church. And this is where the Polish king actually used to live before the capital city was moved to Warsaw. So once you go up inside, we went into like a courtyard area, and on the far side of the courtyard there are really neat Italian paintings up on top of the wall, but then there's like this very stark stop to the end of the paintings, and then on the other side of the walls it is completely white, and that used to be the residence of the king of Poland. But one of the kings in history was a alchemist, and he actually started a huge fire that destroyed the residence part of the castle, and so he had to move to Warsaw temporarily while they rebuilt it. And then right when they finished rebuilding it, a lightning strike happened and burnt down the residence portion again. I guess the king was also had like Swedish ties, and so there were other reasons, but this is one of the big reasons why the capital was moved to Warsaw, because he'd already been living there waiting for the castle to be rebuilt, and he actually never returned. The other part of this hill and this castle was the cathedrals, and it is a huge cathedral. It's not as big as St. Mary's, but it is very ornate, and there's lots of different types of architecture built into it, because they just kind of, I guess, randomly built portions of it throughout history. And then on the entrance to the cathedral are some massive bones hanging, and there is lore that there used to be a dragon that lived here that actually exploded once when he was eating some people, and the bones were found and they hung them up on the door there. Of course, that is not true, and our tour guide said that they are actually mammoth bones that now hang up there, but it adds a really neat story to this castle, and so there are dragons all around it in its imagery because of that story and the bones that are hanging above the door of the cathedral.
Just got done with our free walking tour, and it was awesome. I love those walking tours. They just take you all around the city, and they know the spots to go to and everything to see and all the history. So it was really nice, and it's free, which is great. And then you just leave a tip at the end, whatever you'd like to tip. So we did the Old Town City walking tour, but they also had like Jewish history, World War II history, Holocaust, street art, all kinds of things. So I really wish we had time to do more tours because it was really great. But our day is not over yet. We're packing in a lot today, and now we're headed to the salt mines.
So it took about 45 minutes to get from the Jewish quarter all the way out here. We had to take a tram and a bus to make it here. So it takes a little while, but at least the public transportation is really inexpensive here. But from what we've heard of the salt mines is that this is how Krakow got its extraordinary wealth in the medieval times, was from mining salt deep, deep, deep under the earth. And so it's a big tourist attraction. And with that, the lines here are super long. There's like English tours every 30 minutes, which makes it really convenient. But whenever we bought our tickets, since we got here kind of late, we are actually having to wait like an hour and a half before we can actually go in and see it. And it was only 89 Polish PLN to get in, which isn't too bad, with the guided tour also, which is really nice to have that.
So we keep hearing great things about this salt mine, that it is so deep, and there's even so deep that there's like cathedrals built down underground. So heard it's just beautiful, and you have to see it if you're here. So this is something we've really been looking forward to here in Krakow.
So let's actually wait a little bit, and then when our tour comes up, let's go check it out. All right, we're heading down now, and we're going deep, 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 straight down. And the stairwell is like the spiraling staircase that goes crazy far. So this is wild, looking down and just seeing, like, you can't even see the bottom of where we're going completely. But each of us was giving a little audio guide, and our tour guide is down below, and he's talking to us in one ear. And I think it's about 40-person group sizes. And so we're just gonna spiral down, try not to get dizzy, and just see where we go. down here, it's all wood frame timber that's like protecting us in the tunnels. And they said that the salt preserves the wood, which keeps it structurally safe, so we don't have any concerns because it's all completely preserved and it's not going to rot out. And then also the white paint on everything is like it reflects the flames, or it reflects like the light from the torches they used to carry. And then it also is like flame retardant, whatever material they made it out of. But the walls, like, of course, you can lick it, and it's like as slick as glass, I think, from everybody down here. But you can lick it, and of course, it tastes salty whenever you do so, and it is antibacterial since it's so salty. Is what he told us. But yeah, salty.
Doesn't really taste it.
Tastes
Should I lick
salty?
the wall? There it is. I tasted one now.
The door. So a couple of miners would stand on this, and then they would push this around, and then the rope would spin, and then all the way connected down to the end of the rope was a barrel, and it would raise and lower the barrels from this right here.
So underneath the ground, there is this huge chapel, and it is the largest underground chapel. Everything in here is made of salt, and all around the chapel there are images carved into the salt of the life of Jesus. And there's an altar over here at the front, and there's these beautiful, huge chandeliers. And so apparently it's still a working church. There's still services every Sunday, and there are weddings down here and everything. So really, really neat and unique. And apparently it was built by 3 people who came one at a time, taking turns building and carving this huge chapel. It's so incredible what salt can be. I always just imagine salt with a salt shaker. Didn't even know it comes like this. And that even like the artistry you can get out of salt, like the chandeliers being pure salt, is incredible. But he was talking about there's like 19 chapels underground here, with this being the largest one, because the miners were super religious because it was such a dangerous job. They always were praying before, during, and after their shifts in the mines here. But they also created incredible works of art. We end up going about 130 meters deep inside the mines, but that is not nearly as deep as the tunnels actually go, because in the 740-year history of this mine, they built a series of extremely intricate tunnels underground. The 2-hour tour ended up finishing at a lift, so whenever we were leaving, we didn't have to climb all of those stairs coming out once again, but it was this tiny sardine can size lift where they packed in 9 people like those sardines, and you just shot up to the top and you're out of there in about a minute. So it was quite the end. But one thing that I loved about the mines was how it felt almost kind of like a Lord of the Rings scene where they were being chased through tunnels. It was kind of a cool atmosphere. Mm-hmm. It was really cool. I really loved the chandeliers. Those were really cool. And then the all the little cathedrals and chapels I thought were really, really neat and very unexpected at the bottom of a mine. So that was really, really cool. So one of the unfortunate things about our tour was because it's a bunch of people and we're going through all of these tunnels, we were not always right up next to our guide. So a lot of times we couldn't hear very well on our little earphone. So I missed a lot of the history and heard about half of everything that he said. So when we were up close, that was a lot better and I could hear and catch a lot of what he said.
A lot of the tour also was just narrow little winding tunnels. And so I think we kind of built up a lot in our head that the whole thing was going to be filled with amazing carvings and whatnot, like the cathedral was. But really a lot of it was just wooden little tunnels. So I wouldn't say it was like the most amazing thing that we've done. The walking tour that we did earlier, I really thoroughly enjoyed quite a bit more, and it was free, so that was a big plus. So yeah, I think it's definitely something that you gotta do when you're here because it's a really big deal and a big part of their history.
Yeah, unique site. Like, I've never seen anything like that before, so that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, You're not really going to find cathedrals underground carved out of salt like that.
No.
It was spectacular. We hope that you enjoyed this day in Krakow. It's really one of the most surprising cities that we've been in so far.
We're loving it. It's amazing.
So thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, also subscribe, because we'd love to have you keep up with more of our adventures. We'll see you in another video.
Bye.
2 hours in total, and then gosh dang it, 30 meters. And the mine's, dang it, this is terrible. Body to body.
What?
Everybody just chest to chest everybody was just body to body coming out of there.
That's the weirdest term.
What am I supposed to say? We just packed in there like sardines?
Yeah, that's exactly what she's supposed to say.
Okay.